Hi and welcome to this short series of videos where we will help you plan your holiday with some useful advice. These are our travel tips. In this series we'll be giving some information on travelling to Cuba, a Caribbean island we visited in 2017. Now, Cuba is a fascinating country and very different from most of the places you're likely to have travelled to. So in this show we're going to give you our top 10 travel tips to help you on your voyage of discovery. Number 1, the internet. Well, as far as the internet goes, Cuba is probably one of the worst countries to gain any sort of access. At our hotel we had the luxury of Wi-Fi, but this had to be purchased through a payment card and it gave around 1 hour of service if you were lucky enough to get the signal strength required. The service, however, was only available in a hotspot centred around the lobby. Now, there are public Wi-Fi spots, but these are few and far between. Our second choice is cash. Now, we've mentioned this in a previous show, but now you've arrived, remember cash is king in Cuba. So forget debit and credit cards. For goods and services, only notes will suffice. We found our hotel to be the best and safest option to exchange. Now, being from a country where most have some sort of card to a country where it doesn't exist is hardly ideal. So when you do draw cash, take enough to tide you over, especially if you're going on excursions, etc. Now, don't bother to bring any money back with you that's already been converted, as you won't be able to change it back to sterling in the UK. Our third choice is tips. Now, this again can be a contentious point when visiting Cuba. Tipping is not so much a big thing in the UK as in other areas of the world. However, in Cuba, it's important to be aware of the need to tip. Now, you can tip waiters, hotel cleaners, tour guides, but be aware of those people who have private businesses from those who work for the state. For example, if you're wanting a ride in one of the old American cars, some will be kitted out with meters as a taxi. In this case, you can tip. But some will be privately owned, so in this instance, it's wise to negotiate a fee before you travel, and this should be sufficient when it comes to payment. Number 4 is water. Now this just sounds like common sense, but you know what they say, sense is not always common. On this issue, we would say do not drink the water. Our poor stomachs really cannot handle it at all. Now luckily for us at the hotel, we had bottled water delivered to our room every day, and it was plentiful on the resort. At 5, we've gone for sun lotion. Now this is a must when travelling to Cuba. Temperature can hit the 80s and more on most days, so having a strong factor 50 plus is maybe the way to go. The last thing you need to do is be burnt when you're on holiday. Now, we took an excursion to Santiago de Cuba, purported to be one of the hottest places on the island due to its location, and apart from the obligatory sun cream, it's advisable to wear a hat. Remember, they have an average of 330 days of sunshine every year. 6, well, that's food. Now, outside of the hotel, you'll read and hear about how poor the quality is of food, but you can't beat the freshness, and the quality actually is great. So just visit a farmhouse and taste that for yourselves. We stayed all inclusive at our hotel, but even there the choices were wide and very appealing. One thing you can guarantee is if you do decide to eat out, maybe on an excursion or a stopover on the day, it will be cheap and delicious. You're never going to get Michelin rated courses, but this is Cuba after all, so enjoy the whole experience. Our 7th choice is health. Now, we think it's advisable to take with you a small first aid kit. Now, when I say small, take things such as plasters, small bandages, Imodium tablets, paracetamol, etc. Finding things like this is virtually impossible in Cuba. The larger hotels will probably be able to help in some circumstances, but just don't leave it to chance. And it could be the difference between you having a great time or not. Number 8 is politics. Now, try and avoid getting into a deep-rooted discussion. Some of us like nothing more than having a Sunday morning politic debate, but this is Cuba, and you're best steering away from it. The great thing about travel is you can find out all about how the locals think and act without getting into heated debates. So avoid your own outspoken views, as it won't change anything except put your guide or driver off talking to you. Now, by all means, ask questions and accept the answers. Be polite, use good etiquette, as it costs nothing and will enhance your knowledge of this one-party state. Number 9 in our list is language. Now, it's always good when travelling to another country, especially one where English may not be its first language, to understand a few words to help get you by. It'll show the locals you're prepared to at least try. You're probably not going to get it exactly the way it was meant to be pronounced, but you tried, and to others that can make a big difference. Take a visitor guidebook, you'll usually find a few sentences of worth inside these, and don't be shy, again, it's all part of the learning curve. Finally, number 10, our last tip, and this is all about the country. This country has a lot of austerity. It's a country where little is more. The people will open up to you, tell you their stories about families and growing up. They'll be happy to share personal details, and you can't but warm to them. But it is difficult to understand what it must be like to be born and raised in a system that you don't fully understand or choose. A system where freedom is scarce. However, this is a truly amazing destination, a complete one-off in life's travels, so expect the unexpected. Go with the flow, and you will probably fall head over heels in love with Cuba. Well, that's it for this show and this short series. Well, we've been able to give you some useful advice on visiting Cuba. Wherever you go and whenever you go, we're certain you're going to have a great time. Okay, at the end of this video, you'll be able to see where we'll be traveling to in 2018. Also, don't forget to leave a comment or a question below, and please subscribe for more holiday heroics. Bye for now.